So we're back for another day of training with Justin, and we've progressed to where he's wearing his halter. I have progressed to putting a stud chain on him. Any tool you use with training a horse is only as harsh as the handler that's handling it. If a horse is properly trained with the stud chain, when you do this, they will not react. If you do this and a horse reacts, somebody has used a stud chain improperly on them. So the reason I'm using a stud chain is he has been strong enough to get away from me in the stall, and we need that to come to an end now because I need to take him out of this stall and not have him get away from me. I want to teach him to submit to the chain, and I want to teach him to submit to the pole and all of his face. He's going to submit to the nose, to the chain, to the pole, and it gives submission through the whole neck, so that when I'm on riding him, if he has any pressure anywhere on the pole, on the nose, on the chain, he immediately is going to want to yield and drop his head. Horses have a natural reflex point right here, right about where the cinch goes, pretty close to where you'd hit them with the spur if you had your leg a little forward on them. It's a very natural reflex, just like the one in our knees when the doctor hits your knee. You can teach a horse that if you apply pressure to the face and poke that spot where they have a reflex, you can get them to understand to submit their head. In the long range, this means when I apply leg pressure on him when I am riding him, the pressure pushes him forward, and just from that pressure, he should round his neck and submit. That way, when I'm actually riding him and I apply leg pressure, he will actually engage his back end, move forward into his face, submit and yield, and be in a nice rounded, balanced position, supple and light and submissive. I'm going to use the bottom end of a hoof pick, not the hoof pick end. I'm going to use the rounded end for poking him in that spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end of this hoof pick and I'm going to apply pressure right where the reflex point is, and I'm going to apply pressure on the chain. When he yields, I yield. I like for him to stay here and not pop back up. That's good. Now I'm going to ask him again. I'm applying a little pressure with the hoof pick and a little pressure on the chain. Not much. I'm going to see if I can bring him even lower. And once I do, then the trick is to hold him. He wanted to go back up. He hit the pressure when he went back up, and he did not resist it. That's huge. That's huge. Also teaching this kind of submission, again, it's a way to make sure a horse isn't going to be one that wants to pull back when they're tied, because I'm teaching him to submit to the pole no matter what. So I touch him with the hoof pick, apply some pressure here, little pulsation, he yields, I yield. Then I ask to come a little more, he yields, I yield. That second one there, that wasn't my asking. He went down that on his last one without any asking. Now when I can hold him here, that's a really good thing. Ultimately, I want to be able to put him in this position by standing up right myself and pushing down on the pole between his ears and have him be just as submissive there. But that's after we completely understand it. This is only his second day of doing this training. He doesn't like me on the right side as much as if you remember when we had nothing on his face, all the training took place on the left side. So everything on the right side is now new for him, and each day it's a little bit scary for him when we start out here. I was also having problems with him. He didn't want me to touch this right leg all the way down to the hoof, and that's when he would run away from me and pull the rope out of my hands. So I'm going to do a little submission on this side and then see if I can run my hands all the way down his leg and if he tries to get away. So far, since I've put the stud chain on him, the times he has tried to get away from me, he has submissed immediately. He can still pull away from me with this stud chain if he wants, but so far it's been enough pressure he hasn't wanted to. Also, I wondered if he'd react strongly the first time I put it on him or the first time he felt the pressure of it, and not at all. He trusts me at this point, and we hope to maintain that. And because he trusts me, this chain did not add any additional concern to him whatsoever. So the spot I want to poke is kind of right behind the point of his elbow, and if you had a cinch on him, it would be at the back side, this side of the cinch, closer to his back side. And it's just right where the body, you can see his hair flinch. If I just look and touch his hair, I don't know if that camera will pick that up. I wish he quit turning in the way. This again is him being submissive. He comes over and hugs me. The fact that I can put my head between his ears on his pole, he didn't like it, me talking loud. Again, another really good submission. We're going to try this side again, or for the first time today. I just touched him. I did not apply any pressure whatsoever, but the hoof pick is touching him and my hand is touching the rope. Let's see if we can go all the way down. That's pretty low. I'm pretty happy with that. When a horse has their head beneath you, that's very submissive. That's kind of like them flipping over on their back and showing you their belly, because a horse's resistance to a human is to be bigger and to use the head and neck to protect themselves and get out of danger. So when they will stay submissive below you, that's a big trusting sign right there. And he did a nice big deep breath. And see if I can run my hands down this leg. If he resists, we will see if he yields to the chain or not. He's pretty good when I'm on the outside of the leg here. It's when I go to the inside. That's kind of scary for him. So teaching him to drop his head has made this a little less scary. A horse can do a side cow kick and just about get me if I step anywhere over here. So by staying this close, I'm reducing my risk of being kicked, and I'm beginning to teach him that I'm running my hands down his legs. So the tickle spot is right here. And you can see, look at that, I barely touch him. And at first now he's not flinching, he got used to it, but you barely touch him and there's a little tickle spot. I also ultimately want to be able to push down here. I doubt I can do that yet today. Oh, look at that. That was a little submissive right there. It's a natural reaction or instinction for a horse to resist to their pole. And this is why when you see horses pull back, you see them just struggle like a fish on the end of a fishing line. That's a natural reaction to them, is to resist here. Yet when we ride in a Western curb bit, that leverage actually applies pressure on the head with the intent of tucking the horse's head. I like to teach him, once they understand the chain and the pressure point of the hoof pick, to drop right there. This is all us learning how to communicate. This is him and I learning how to discuss things with each other. And I'm doing it on his terms so that there's no fight. So we first learn what submission means and how we communicate with each other for it. Amazing that he's doing this. Oh, that was phenomenal. All right, that's enough for that today. I haven't done a lot of walking with him on video lately, so with the stud chain on, you'll see how nicely he follows me. So we'll go up and down the stall a few times, and he's doing a really good job of little sharp turns. I can move him around with no pressure. I can turn him to the left, I can turn him to the right. So I can move him real easily, right or left, with no pressure. So we're going to walk around a little bit. He used to only walk a few steps and then he would stop. It's always nice when you can have a horse that you're turning into them rather than them turning around you, because that's you being in control. So now my goal is that we stand here quietly and I can take his halter off without him running off. Used to be once the rope fell, he would bolt. So now we just hang out, and that's how we can end our day. Thank you, Justin. This is Ticks Off. It's used to keep ticks off of horses and dogs, and it has no pesticides or any toxic chemicals in it. It literally makes their coat too slick for the ticks to stick, so it makes them shiny and sleek and clean and pretty and keeps the ticks off, all with a nice lavender scent. I let him smell the bottle today, but I've never brought it in and shook it around him. Clearly that's not a big issue. So now, see what happens if I spray it over here. Not much. Good boy. Okay, so now he's getting to hear the sound, which is always the scary part. It's on stream and not spray, so let's change that. Look at that, he's allowing it right in front of his face. Doesn't mean I can spray him with it, but, and hey, it's got lavender scent, so it's probably calming him right as he's inhaling it. So it's kind of backsplashing on him right here, and he really isn't minding. Does it smell good? It does. It smells good. I use it in my own hair, by the way. It's a wonderful leave-in conditioner that happens to keep the ticks off. So now what I'm going to do is kind of spray this in the air over here, and it already hit him. I honestly have never broke a horse that easy to a sprayer in my entire life. That I have actually never seen a horse that's never been sprayed, and I'm right up by his face and his ears. I am so in love with this horse. This is the greatest little horse that ever lived. I have never seen anybody be so good with that. He's also the most snuggliest and most affectionate. Okay, I think that does it for today. Thanks for joining in again. We'll see you again soon, and pretty soon we'll be getting the saddle on this little guy. Have a great day.